be stupid and not funny.
Well, I didn't
obviously,
hesitate.
anyway.
I wanted to make sure we weren't live.
What? Oh, that's so
Imagine
unfair,
we just
man.
started just the first second. Like we're not even in pitch yet. Butt plugs for Bob.
Yeah. It's so annoying that you have that level of control, because sometimes I'm like in the halfway through this like humiliating discussion and Tim will be like, yeah, by the way, we're live. I'll be like, yeah, so the banana just wouldn't fit up my bum. You know, it's crazy. I really tried. And Tim's like, yeah, by the way, we're live.
We are live right now as well.
Okay. Yeah, okay, we're live on socials. We all good to get cracking?
Mm-hmm. Let's get crack-a-lackin', bruh.
Right, let's do it. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 132 of the Quick Resume podcast. If you haven't been here before, we are a video game podcast, mostly covering Xbox stuff, but there's a lot of other stuff out there as well. So we're covering that as well. If you're new here or you're a repeated customer, recurring customer, it'd be really nice if you could hit the like button. That'd be awesome. We'd really appreciate that. My name's Deck. We've got Tim on the podcast as well. Say hi, Tim.
Hello, Ron.
Yeah, we got Cade in here as always, back from the dead.
Hello.
For a couple of weeks there. Yeah, he's back now.
Yeah, it's
So,
really funny. Wacky,
fellas.
Sorry, Wacky actually asked the
Go on.
other week. He was literally like, "Do you guys just fire your third?" Like he didn't even like
Yeah.
reference you by name. He just said your third.
The third one,
Yeah.
the other square.
Do you guys just fire him? It's great.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
Which is kind of rude, because I made your very own asset. I've got an asset on my computer, Caden, called Caden, which is your little banner with your name on it. Yeah, I made that for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it.
Your
You
name
can see it
was
around the
on
stream.
banner, yeah. So people
Don't
can't
know, yeah.
forget
It is very nice.
your very forgetful personality.
Big
Wow.
problem of mine.
I'm working on that. I'm really working on that.
Right.
It's been a bit of a weird week. I'm just gonna move past that swiftly. And I just mean generally, you know, there's been layoffs, there's been stuff that's been cancelled. Something weird's going on with Toys for Bob, one of ABK Studios, you know, which we'll get all into. But it's been a big release. There's been a big release this week, hasn't there? There's been a Final Fantasy Rebirth that's come out. And none of us are playing it. So we're probably gonna have to play it.
Yeah. Well, I've got it downloaded on my Switch, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
definitely.
while.
That's crazy, and that is crazy that you had a direct line to Jim Ryan to like get it ported, like just for you.
Just
Like
for
it.
me. Yeah, he just sent me
That
the,
is-
the APK file, yeah, and I just installed it on the back end.
Wow.
Yeah. Me and Jimmy Boy go way back, so I've got some dirt on him as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully he doesn't, you know, try and put an end to your life.
No.
But if he seems like the sort of person who would do that, to be honest with you.
You think? You think Jim Ryan's the sort of person that might end someone's life? You calling him a murderer?
I'm not.
Potential
I mean,
murderer.
I'm not. Yeah, but I mean, everyone's a potential murderer, so that's not like. I don't think that's
Really?
like damning. Yeah,
You
I don't think I can get
have the
sued for that.
ability to commit murder?
Yeah, of course. I mean, do you believe in free will?
Not through the acts of self-defense, because that's not murder. You think I'd
That's
just go out and
debatable,
stab
that.
someone? Well, then lock me up.
That's
then.
very debatable. I mean, the way this is going, we just need an hour and a half, and one of us will be gone.
Yeah. Get swatted.
So I figure we may as well start there. We're just going to let Tim go and give the quick resume rundown of Final Fantasy Rebirth. I was joking, by the way. Tim has, of course, been sucking off that bad boy, haven't you? So
Yeah.
go wild. Tell us all about it. How's it been?
It's first of all, it's obviously I bought it physically, and it comes as it's a 2-discer, which is quite funny. So it's one is solely dedicated for installing the game, and then the other one is like a primer to like play the game and to play like there's like a bit of the install on the second disc as well, but like 80% of it's on the first disc, which you just pop in to install. Then you take that out and then you put in the play disc, which does the final bit, and then that's the disc you use moving forward. So that's kind of weird. I can't remember the last time I had to fucking do anything like that.
How big is that?
Crazy.
It was about,
Like,
I think it was 160 gig. So
That's not. I mean, obviously that's
it's a big
massive, but
boy.
if you look at like COD and stuff, that's like and GTA.
I think that's
Strange that
still
they've done a weird.
bigger than
Do they have
COD.
multiple discs though? Physical?
No,
Like, does
no, they
COD have
don't.
multiple discs? Really?
I
don't
think
think
it's
so.
still bigger
No.
than
What sort of
COD,
discs are
though.
they using?
Yeah.
Massive discs.
I don't think COD gets to that level though. I thought COD was like 120 or like 130. It never got like 160.
I mean, it's still a lot, isn't it? It's still
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they get 200, like some of the newer ones.
Really?
Battlefield. That was a big one.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's a 2-discer, which is kind of odd, but I just thought that was kind of a novelty. But obviously it didn't take too long to get set up because you take it from the disc. You don't really need like a online connection to actually do it, really. So there was a day one patch though as well that was like 15 gig, but all in all, probably like a couple hours you're on board, which is still really fucking annoying. Because imagine if you got that like delivered like late in the evening and then you have to pop it in and still wait like 2 fucking hours to play the game. That is pretty irritating, but
Yeah, fuck physical. That's what I got to say about it. It might be controversial. I don't give a shit. Fuck physical.
yeah, no, I completely agree. Like more often than not, I always.
It's an
buy
artifact,
digital.
that is.
Yeah, I always buy digital, but it's just on the case of when I'm done with it, I'll lend it to Tilly, I'll lend it to my brothers, stuff like that. So for games like this, are the only games I
Yeah, not me though.
buy physical. No, I will lend it to you. I have lent it to you. What did I lend to you physical? Not long ago.
Nothing.
Oh no, it was nothing. Well, it's because
Nothing.
you're fucking moving.
That cries to me all the time about.
Not my fault.
Like,
you
we talk
live
about
so
these
far
games,
away.
and Tim always buys fucking physical. He cries to me about it, and I have to comfort him.
No,
Look, it'll be
no,
fine. Look,
this
it'll
is
be okay.
unacceptable. It's been like in the entire PlayStation's life cycle, it's been like maybe 3 games. Like chill.
All
It's
3 of
not
them you
that
bought physically.
much. God, over a 5-year span.
That's all the games they have, mate.
3 physical. Oh fuck. Anyway, yeah. So the game itself is it's really fucking good. It's basically just if you loved the first remake, you're gonna love this one. It's just that, but more. They've developed the combat in lots of different ways. They brought in like synergy abilities between you and the party and stuff like that, which you have they all have their own skill trees solely dedicated to only synergy abilities as well as like everything else.
That's cool.
So that's really cool. And basically they're like nice and easy to use as well. Like it's just kind of like you just kind of do the battle as normal, but as you use your abilities, if you use like 2 with Cloud and 2 with Aerith, for example, you then trigger the ability to do a synergy ability with those 2 characters. So it's not like you don't have to go out your way to do it. It comes very natural as well. It's not like forced you down a certain way. So that's cool. I like that. Obviously there's loads of different playable characters as well. I've played Red 13, which is the little dog guy, the little dog rat guy with the fiery tail. He's really cool and awesome. And yeah, no, I'm just having a really good time with it, to be honest. It's kind of just nailing every element. I'm probably about 10 hours in and I've done like 2 story missions. Like I've done so much side content and just doing the bits around the world and stuff like that. It's again, it takes a lot of formulas from other games. They have like tower elements where you unlock a tower and then that puts a couple markers on your map and stuff like that. But everything feels like you're never wasting your time in that game, which is like the idea of a perfectly crafted open world, is the fact that you never feel like you've wasted your time. You've always benefited either through the story and the characters, or just through what you get from the side mission as well, materials, weapons, that sort of stuff. And everything you do in the world contributes to like an overall like party level, which affects gameplay and changes your relationship with characters. Just all that sort of stuff is just baked into all the side content and all the little bits to do around. So yeah, it's just really top notch, to be honest. I'm having a really good time with it. And yeah, not really much wrong I can say about it right now.
Is the combat real time? Did you say that? I can't remember.
It is real time, yeah. So it's real time, but obviously when you build up your little action bars at the bottom right, just by fighting in real time, you can then slow down the game, go into like a menu, and then choose like for a character to use fire on like an enemy or use an ability on an enemy and stuff like that. So kind of like it's real time, but you can pause it and queue things up and stuff like that. And then there's obviously the stagger meter where you save all your stuff, you stagger an enemy, and then that leaves them open for you to do all your dumping attacks, so you can like kind of save things up, and it's just like a really nice sort of, it's just a really satisfying combat system, because if you're really smart with it and you time your stagger with all like your abilities and stuff like that, you can get so much like out of it, and it's just right, really satisfying. So yeah,
Awesome.
but yeah,
Okay, well, there you
grand.
have it.
I have to admit though, it does in some places, and I agree with people online, graphically it does look a little bit odd, like pretty much on par with the first one, and is in some places a little bit worse, especially with like the faces seem a bit smooth sometimes. I think this is something that they're ironing out, and they're in the process of ironing out, because I think when the demo first dropped, that was a big complaint, was the graphics seemed a bit weird and a bit like off, and then they patched it and it looks significantly better, and people are like, yeah, this actually looks insane now. And now obviously it's still got a little bit of that iffiness, so I think it's just something they're just ironing out. It's not 100%, but by no means does it take away from anything. It's still a gorgeous looking game. Like the landscapes and the lighting and everything is, yeah, insane. And the map size is just ridiculous. You open up your map and it's just fucking enormous, and then you find out that that was just one section, like the grassy plains, and now I'm in somewhere else and the map's just, it's like bigger. Like it's like that same one, but now even bigger, and you can travel between the two. It's just, it's enormous. Like the spaces they give you are really, really, really big. So yeah, awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, glad to hear you're enjoying it. It seems everyone is. You know, it's currently holding a 93 on OpenCritic. It's got 99 reviews. You know, it's an impressively high number. So there's no doubt a Game of the Year contender, if not already locked in for Game of the Year. So, Caden, let's swing around to you. What have you been playing this week, buddy?
Nothing crazy new. Nothing like too exciting. I've just been going back to all my fighting games, basically, just playing through them all again. Street Fighter got some new content, got a new character, so just been playing him. Peacekeeper has come out on MK, so I've been playing a bit of him. And Tekken had its first update, so I've been playing a bit of that as well. So
you're juggling 3 fighting games. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, well, they all launched shit at the same time, so
they're all competing,
yeah,
aren't they?
They're all competing for the same audience, I suppose, aren't they? So
exactly, a little bit.
Whereas Kate is like, I am all of them. I split personality will play all of them.
So it's good fun to go back to the other ones that I've not touched for a while, so that was nice. Other than other releases than those, not really.
I saw you played Deep Rock. Talk us about Deep.
Oh,
Rock
of course,
Survivor.
yeah. Yes, I picked up Deep Rock Survivor, which is obviously the Deep Rock Galactic Vampire Survivor spin-off. And it's brilliant. It's, if you've played any of Deep Rock Galactic, it's the exact same, like the humor and the gameplay and stuff. It all feels completely like fresh and interesting. Every mechanic that exists in Deep Rock Galactic, so like overclocking, supply drops, nitra, gold, all that stuff, it's all completely relevant in Vampire Survivors. It doesn't feel like they've kind of like got rid of content or added new content. It all just kind of works together. It's really nice.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So that you use like your gold and nitra to like get different upgrades for your equipment and stuff.
And
but yeah, so that's like really fun, casual. Just load up for 20 minutes, go for a dive, and that's it, really.
Yeah. I was literally about to say, what's the loop like? It's quite satisfying, quite easy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've unlocked 3 characters so far. I've got the scout, excuse me, the scout, the gunner, and the engineer.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna unlock the driller soon. You unlock different biomes as well to do different stuff, and obviously different biomes have different things. From Galactic, so like the magma core has like all the little exploding little plants that you can see, and got lava lakes, and you have all your side quests like your bolo caps and your alpaca blooms and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, super nice, super chill. I feel like that's kind of the only game I've been playing lately. Are kind of chill games.
It's just easy to pick
up,
isn't it?
Yeah, so I picked up Ballatorio as well. That card.
Do you mean Balatro?
Yeah.
Nah, I got another game that. But
it's like similar. It's like a knockoff. Yeah, Ballatorio. Yeah. Okay.
Fair.
So that's it again. A really super chill, like sit down and play for 20 minutes, and then just yeah. So that was really interesting. I don't know if you've seen much on it, but
I've only seen a bit because I know I'm going to play that game, so I'm just like I don't want because I'm still playing Midnight Sun, so I don't want to like double dip on like card games right now. So I'll probably buy it afterwards. But like I know I'm going to play it. Like it looks so fucking good, and like it's got me really excited.
Really just. If you know even the slightest thing about poker, you know instantly the baseline of the game is, and then it's just a bunch of shit in regards to like multipliers and bonuses and stuff. Like you'll play one hand, you'll get like 52 points. You're like, what the fuck? And then you'll play another hand, you'll get like 8,000. You're just like, oh shit, okay. So it's pretty satisfying.
Nice.
But yeah, that's about it really. Nothing big and crazy. Like nothing big on my side really.
That's cool. No, I think it's really interesting because I think like your Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, and I suppose Belletro, but that's more of a like outlier because it's been like a bit of a breakout hit. But those sorts of games are really interesting to me right now because they're like high production value but low budget games, if that makes sense. So they look quite expensive even though they're like typically lower cost games. But they've got these loops which are like really accessible, like Vampire Survivors, etc., etc. But they're just in a really interesting play. Like I do wonder if we start to see some like more well-known companies take a swing at like I could see something like Double Fine, who made Psychonauts, or even Obsidian taking a swing at something like that in the next 5 years, like making a high production, like a good-looking version of that, because like it seems like they're quite popular.
It's nice to not have to. That's not gone, Tim.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was saying, fuck's sake, I'm going. It's nice to just throw down like 10, 15 quid, and just know you'll have a good time for a couple of hours, and then that's it. Whereas nowadays sometimes it's a 70 quid game and you're just like, you have to commit a whole fucking month to it, which is what you're doing with Final Fantasy, and obviously you're gonna have a great time, but and I think that's kind of why Helldivers did so well recently, was because it was a lot more affordable and
a lower price point.
Exactly. And you can realistically jump on for an hour or two and you've done what you need to do, and then you can run off.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think what actually kind of half sold me to actually get Helldivers was the fact is when I found out it was a lower price point, because I was very much on the fence with it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is actually only going to set you back like, what was it, like 30 quid or 35 quid or something. And yeah, it's just those sort of games just seem to be hitting right now. There's just a certain aura about them, and I think everyone's kind of into them. And if done well, like Helldivers is obviously a bit of an outlier here, but like what they've like sort of manifested with like the community is just so cool and like awesome. Like there's just it's been a while since I've seen like a community as strong as like Helldivers, in just like its social media, and just people just talking about the game and like popping on Reddit and all that sort of stuff, and everyone contributing to like the same thing, and everyone's like theory crafting like what's coming next, and they're like dropping like, I think the devs are like dropping hints at like the next like race will be fighting or new content being dropped in, and it just feels like kind of exciting. I don't know, I can't remember the last time a game sort of did that and sort of captured your attention quite like Helldivers. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And what I was going to say as well is I feel like with this whole like non AAA price point, Vampire Survivors kind of swarm shooter or whatever you want to call it, I feel like Gearbox and like Borderlands could like fit that quite nicely. That literally like popped into my head the other day, and I was like, that could be like a really good way to do it without them needing to just drop straight into Borderlands 4. Like I feel like that
kind of like a top-down like twin stick or something like that. Like what do you mean?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, similar to that. Yeah. I feel like it could fit that quite well, or even just like just it's still keep it first person, but just keep it roguelitey, and you drop in, you do your mission, you drop out, you buy your upgrades, all that sort of stuff. Skill trees per class, all that sort of thing. I feel like that could fit quite nicely into a Borderlands universe. I don't know. It literally just popped into my head. So yeah,
definitely. No, I think so. Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation, you know, and you can see some of the trends changing here, can't you? And because I've been yapping on about this for ages of like games that are like shorter and cheaper to make should be offered at a lower price point, like not just set at 70 just cause the rest of them are. And I think that will help them in the long run. And you can see this trend like slowly evolving, can't you? Even something like Alan Wake 2, which was obviously very high production value and not cheap by any means, but it was up because it was shorter and like a little bit cheaper on their end. They offered it at a slightly lower price point. And then, yeah, you've got stuff like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, you know, Vampire Survivors as well, Helldivers 2 that are either much smaller, but designed for replayability rather than for let's get as much as we can in it to justify the price point, because that's what it feels like happens to some games sometimes. Like they craft out like a really lean bit of game and they're like, this is great, but that doesn't justify. We're going to get kicked back if we try and charge full price for this. So let's just like jam inside content and like bloat it a little bit. And it's not working, you know, for a lot of companies. Those profit margins are so slim that it's not working. So, you know, it feels, you know, and this is great for me, I think personally, because you end up getting more creative endeavors. You get like your Helldivers 2, you get more Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, you get more Balatros, you know, even though that's just a one man studio, but nonetheless, yeah, it's a really interesting place to be.
For sure.
I think we probably should. This feels like a really good place to slide this in, even though we're still on the, you know, what we've been playing section. But I don't think we haven't talked about Skull and Bones, have we?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's almost literally the polar opposite of what we're talking about, isn't it? Literally,
exactly. It's the epitome of the problem. Yeah, this game that's been in development hell that they've just thrown money at because they wanted it to be the next big thing, and it's not great. It's not great.
I mean, it was never. It was a very interesting project to try and aim for, I think, because it was almost destined to fail unless it went either Sea of Thieves route or Black Flag route, and it didn't do either.
Yeah. It just did the bad bits from both games and made a game out of it. Yeah,
because no one, I think even if done well, I just don't think people want to play a live service game as a ship. I just don't think people want to be a ship.
Yeah, that's literally, you're not even a pirate, you're a boat.
I don't want to be a boat and play a live service, because it is live service, isn't it? I think.
I'm not sure what they're. I don't think it is, but I
can't actually remember. Do you know if it's a live service deck or is it just is what it is?
Yeah, it is. It's meant to be. Yeah, it's meant to be a live service. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just meh. Yeah, and then I mean, and another perfect example of that, Suicide Squad, right? That shit's just dropped well off the radar. Like I think that they've already like committed to a year's worth of content, but I think as soon as that year of content is up that they promised, they're canning that game. They're moving on like immediately. Yeah, it just absolutely just bombed. Because again, I think exactly like Dex said, I think they had a good like initial story campaign or whatever, but then all the above are just like, well, we want it live service, so pack it with a load of, you know, repetitive things and make it worth that price tag, right? Make it worth that £70 and make people keep coming back and spending money. And that's what bloated the game, and that's what made it stale, and that's what made it fucking die. So yeah, there is that fine balance, but not many people do it.
Yeah, and it is, you know, it's a good point. Yeah, you know, Suicide Squad and Skull and Bones are both sitting at the same score on OpenCritic at the moment. They're both sitting on a 60, and you know, you definitely could argue it's, you know, symptomatic of the same problem. Suicide Squad being a bit different because it's obviously it's a licensed game, so and for whatever reason, you know, licensed games still have a real difficulty, even though there's been some hits, you know, recently. You know, Jedi Survivor comes to mind, and Spider-Man, obviously. But other than that, it's still kind of a bit of a tricky thing. And there's a good discussion there to have as we get down and we talk about PlayStation a little bit this week. Like one of their things is that they're pulling back on licensed property. It was them and it was EA, I think, have both said similar things because like they charge so much, like Disney, you know, obviously, you know, they charge so much to make those profit margins even slimmer. So it's a real shame because I feel like we're just going to go back to the era of, I mean, I guess back in the day, there were some decent licensed games here and there, but there's so much opportunity for great licensed games, and it's so hit and miss, and it's such a shame that the industry hasn't figured out how to get that down consistently because there's so much money in that, but it's always such a gamble.
Because they just pay so much for the license. that they just have to try and recoup it with
That's
live
it.
service bloat and all that sort of stuff, because it's just
That's a good point.
Yeah, such a large amount is just spent on getting the rights to make a Lord of the Rings game or to make a Marvel game or a DC game, that they're like, yeah, it's just, I think that initial cost is just hard to recoup. That's what forces them down these shit avenues.
Yeah. You're going to say something, Caden?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the Lord of the Rings bit. Like, Lord of the Rings is probably one of my favorite franchises like ever, and yet they've not made a single good game.
Mate, you looking forward to that Hobbit farming game? That's gonna be great. Mate.
The Mines of Moria.
You looking to dig around the Mines of Moria?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, who's that for? If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you don't care about fucking dwarves in a mine.
Lord of the Rings gamers have been eating recently, man. You got Gollum, you got the Mines of Moria game coming up. We eating good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really bad.
We'll see.
It is. It's such a shame, isn't it? And I guess maybe that's like their attempt to do what we were just talking about. It's like, let's take the license and just make like really like low risk games. But like they're completely misreading their audience and like the core audience who might read into that. Like you might get a dedicated Lord of the Rings fan to play it, but like I just don't think that they've got a good grip on like what the target audience is with those sorts of games, like a Gollum. I've always said there was a good potential with the Gollum game, but like whatever that was clearly not it. But there's just so many like action orientated stories you could tell that don't need to be like AAA. Like make it a AA like 12-hour experience, super pretty. You guys know about Glorfindel?
Fuck no.
Do you even know what I'm saying?
This is some sort of Lord of the Rings lore that you've been waiting for years to drop.
This is it, and now's my moment. Yeah, you want to hear about? I'm surprised you don't know about Glorfindel, Caden. Glorfindel is a fictional character in J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth legendarium. He's a member of the Noldor, one of the three groups of the Calaquendi or High Elves. Basically, he's this like quintuple S tier magical elf who does all sorts of shit in the Silmarillion and in the original trilogy. Like, I'm talking summoning tidal waves, like power of light, like it's like Gandalf and Aragorn like together, basically, you know, it's or maybe Legolas, I suppose, maybe all three of them. Like commonly thought of as one of the most powerful characters in the Lord of the Rings universe. And I just feel like, man, like you get that in a game. I know that's kind of a similar fantasy for what the Middle Earth, the Shadow of Mordor games are going for, but like, man, you get me in his shoes, and that's such an easy sell for most people, I think, especially in our age category. But
yeah, definitely.
That's the story of Glorfindel.
Like, isn't like the big bad, like before Sauron and all that, like Morgoth or something. And he's like, isn't he like a fucking like spider like thing that's like the size of like a continent?
No, you're thinking of oh bollocks! I know you're thinking of the guy who saps the light from the tree.
Yeah, there's just so many cool fucking stories you can tell, basically, and cool shit you can do. Yeah, they need to expand on Silmarillion in one way. Not Aragog. What's it called?
And it's just so weird as well, because they're so protective over the license, but like in recent years, now that shit's gone hard, they're like, yeah, now you can write a game about Gollum, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
like you really could have given that a proper go, but it's like, no, you gave it to a studio for their debut title. And it was just a Lord of the Rings studio. Like, it was they were like, yeah, you guys are going to make Lord of the Rings games now. And they've closed. They closed immediately afterwards. Like, they weren't equipped to make a game like that. I just don't know what they were thinking. Like, you know, damn, real shame. So, what have we got? I don't know. I was trying to think. I suppose we're still talking about what we've been playing.
Yeah.
Tim, why don't you give a little rundown? I just quickly need to do something. We tried to play 2 games yesterday. Give us a quick rundown of what that was.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, yeah, me and Deck went to play Final Fantasy 14 last night. It didn't go fantastic. That game, I don't know if you booted it up, Caden.
I've logged in onto the weird fucking sketchy third-party website, whatever the fuck they had. I've done that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've not booted it up yet.
Because it'd be interesting to see what your experience is through a PC UI, clicking about and stuff like that. Because it's not, it's not fantastic for console.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't fantastic for PC, and I could point and click. So I imagine console that was ass.
So I think it's a little bit, if it is just a bit of a dated game as well, and like they are running off like a dated UI, and they've kept it the same because obviously it's been around for so long, so you don't just change the entire UI of your game because you're going to have everyone who has played it for the last 10 years go up in arms. So I think it's a little bit of that, but it's just very hard to get into, and I can see why the MMO genre is so looked upon as being so hardcore and so hard to get an entry level game into, because when you boot up a game like this, I tell you what, like we play games all the time, and I played MMOs before, but this one is just I mean, none of it's voice acted. It's just text. They just throw fucking text at you. You click accept a quest. You walk somewhere. You've done that quest now somehow. You hand it in. It gives you some sparklies, and then they talk to you again for like 10 paragraphs of text, and then you have no idea when you can start a party and join your friends. How to add anyone to your friends list. I spent about 30 minutes just trying to look for Deck's character, and then it's also got
we couldn't figure out
in MMOs where depending on your background and what you've chosen is the starting area of your game. So obviously me and Deck made our characters separate, and he started on like a boat, and he's in like a different land called somewhere, or I don't know what the hell it's called. And then I am a little hobbit dude, and I started on like a little wagon, and I'm in like a cute little farm, and then we're like other end of the planet from each other. We don't know how to add each other. We just gave up in the end. And it's not like we didn't try. Like probably a good couple hours, I think we spent doing that. A good 2.5 hours. And then we were literally just like, we just wanted to play a game together, and we couldn't do that. So bye. And then we went into Dead Island 2, which obviously recently dropped into Games Pass. And I tell you what, the absolute bliss my brain received going from Final Fantasy, where I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on, to smash a fucking zombie's head in was absolutely incredible. It was exactly what I needed in that moment. And
I mean, I compared the onboarding experience of Final Fantasy 14 to psychological torture.
Yeah,
it was obscene. It just we never figured it out, man. Like we just couldn't figure it out. And I got a real red flag because we all know what the treadmill of MMOs are like. They are quite long to get into. That's fine, and we were willing to swallow that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there was at one point where somebody asked me to like pick up some shit, just like it's just on the floor. And every time I clicked A on it to pick it up, my character went down and a loading bar popped up in the middle of my screen. And then it took like maybe 2 seconds, and then it filled and my character stood up, and then I regained control of my character again. And I had to do that 6 times. And while I was doing that, I was like, this ain't it anymore. This is not it. Why does there have to be a loading bar to pick something up? It's just, so I'm with you. When we booted up Dead Island and we just started chopping zombies, I was like, this feels like a 10 out of 10 game right now. By comparison.
Yeah, and it's not like I mean, I don't even think. I mean, you can take over from this point, Deck, for Dead Island, but I don't even think there's not even that much to say on Dead Island 2. Like it's exactly what you expect.
That's literally what all the reviews say, don't they? It's like you know what you're going in for, and what it's giving you is it does it fine.
It just does what it does well. It's fun, it's gory, and surprisingly actually quite in depth with like environmental stuff. You interact with the environment a lot in this game.
It's Breath of the Wild, mate.
Yeah, it's Breath of the Wild. Just better Breath of the Wild. But yeah,
that's right.
But yeah, obviously, Deck, you can talk about Dead Island 2. Go for it. And our experience.
Yeah. So it was good fun, just again as a I get a pretext before that. the game is currently sitting on 75 on OpenCritic, and it did get nominated for one of the best multiplayer games last year. It managed to sneak in there, get a nomination for best multiplayer games. Obviously, it didn't win. I can't remember what won. Baldur's Gate, of course. Yeah, Baldur's Gate won.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see why. Like, I think this is totally fair. The animations are a little jank here and there. It's not perfect, but it doesn't crash. It runs very smoothly. It's like surprisingly pretty. There's like a nice amount of depth. The impact, like the weapons feel meaty. There's like skill trees and cards that you find throughout the game to like get new abilities and skills. There's 6 playable characters that are like, different classes essentially.
Yeah.
The voice acting was fun. It was good. The story was tongue in cheek. My guy made a Last of Us joke in like the first hour. It was funny, and we were laughing. Like at one point, we went through it was like an influencer house, wasn't it? It was like a Team 10 influencer house, and there was all sorts of shit going on. We were just walking around like laughing at stuff that was in each room because it was just well directed. It was just a funny set piece. There were just zombies in. Yeah, man, it was really fun, and then they've taken it to the next level, like Tim said, with like the environmental, like physics, like the reactivity between, like for example, water and lightning, oil and fire, stuff like that. There's quite a lot of stuff like that works really well, and you say, I wonder if this works, and then you do it, and it does, and then you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that here, but it's a nice step up. Like, it's not revolutionary, don't get me wrong, but it's a nice like addition onto what's already quite a fun sandbox game. Feels like very much like a 360 game, and I mean that in all the best ways. I think we played it for like 3 hours, maybe.
Yeah, about that.
It was a good time, man. I had a really fun time. I'd happily keep playing.
Yeah, I think I'll probably play it through to completion. Yeah, and yeah, knowing a game like that, I don't think it's going to take too much of your time. I don't think it's going to be too bloated. It's just going to be a little bit of fun, and yeah, I mean, is it? I don't know if is it only 2-player co-op, or I don't actually know.
Ooh.
I doubt that. All of them have been 4, haven't they?
That's true. Yeah, I think all of them were 3 to 4. I do remember playing like Riptide and stuff with more than one person. But yeah, it's decent, and it's a great Games Pass pickup as well. It's a great Games Pass game. So yeah, I don't really have a bad thing to say about it. Like, in no way do I think it's a bad game. I think in what they've actually gone to achieve with that game, so far in my eyes, they've kind of nailed it. I mean, you say like, oh, he only got like a 75, or he is kind of mid or whatever, but like, I think that's just the kind of genre of game it is as well. I don't think it ever goes that deep where it's going to warrant and get a 9 out of 10, because it's just a hack and slash zombie game at the end of the day. But I don't know if that's a bit harsh, that reviewers will there's like only a certain ceiling it can hit, if that makes sense, in like reviewers' eyes. I don't know. But yeah, it nails everything it's going for, to be honest. So yeah,
as I've been saying for years, I think the upper echelon of gaming reviews are only really reserved for third-person adventure games, because they're the most analog to movies. It's the most comparable that you can look at, and you can say, oh, that's good. I like that when movies do that, so I know in my brain that that's a good thing. But even Helldivers 2 is only on an 82. It's only 7 points difference between Dead Island 2 and Helldivers 2, and you look at the difference there. So it doesn't matter really. Like, my point being that Helldivers 2 has massive success, and its review scores are not that high. So I think you're absolutely right. I think there is a ceiling to these sorts of 4-player games, and I don't know why.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I have an idea, but I don't know.
You can't review fun. I guess fun is subjective, whereas like, if like voice acting and narrative and story and everything, I think is quite a bit more like final, a bit more. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's bad. Whereas I think how much fun you have is, I guess, up to interpretation. Like Minecraft, for example, I think I'm not a Minecraft player. I don't really see the appeal or anything. Like, I see the appeal, but I don't think it's necessarily a good game. But I don't know what the reviews are on it, for example. But I think that's another kind of weird thing where it's very subjective.
Yeah, and it's you in Sea of Thieves as well, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Sea of Thieves, but
no, I won't argue that. That's absolutely true.
Sea of Thieves is a great game, but it's only a great game to some people.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's kind of weird. But then you do have, and I don't know if this is because of the 360 era of games, like Deck brought up briefly, but like you do have games that are in a similar vein to it that did review higher and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this ceiling has almost come into play like recently, I think, with how like high tier and the production value of these third person action movie games that Deck mentioned. I think that ceiling has only come into play recently because you look at like Borderlands 2, those are very much those kind of games and they reviewed quite highly back in the day. But I feel like even if you dropped a top class Borderlands 4,
Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, and Left 4 Dead. I feel like if you genuinely dropped a top class Borderlands 4 that just ticked every single box, I think in this day and age, in 2024, I don't think that game is reviewing above an 8. Even if it's fucking amazing, I just don't think it is. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
I would agree.
Reviews
it's hard.
Changed. Yeah.
It's very hard for games to get that high, and it's like Caden was saying exactly. My thoughts there. Where there is analog to movies, because the movie industry is more mature. We have a better understanding of what we think audiences like and what we like. When there's good writing, whatever that means, good writing. Like we can easily say, oh, look at that. So it's why things like Your Last of Us. Not taking away from the quality of those games, but it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, this is a quality production. Whereas if you look at something like Helldivers, which we all agree is a very good game, it's harder to look at that and say, oh, this is like a quality cooperative game. And to your point, Tim, Borderlands 2 back in the day when it came out was on an Open Critic of 86. Borderlands 3, 81.
Oh, okay.
81.
Actually surprising. I thought that's actually higher than I thought it was, to be fair.
Same. I'm not sure about the other one. I'm pretty sure that things like your Left 4 Dead did crack like 90s back in the day, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's right. Like it's harder. And you could even argue that it's part of the issue. It's kind of part of the circular, like it's a bit of a circular issue that they aren't taken as seriously. Like, because in the last 10 years, we've kind of moved into this thing, haven't we, where like games, they're mature and they're gritty, and that's how you make a game. It's Elden Ring and it's Dark Souls and it's God of War and it's all sad and it's bloody and gritty, and that's like what a quality like Oscar-esque game is. But like, of course, that's not the roots of video games. Not that matters. It's great that that's part of the industry now, but I think it's a really fair point that the way we look at games has changed. And I do wonder, like tying back to the conversation we had before, like things appear to be changing. Will the way we look at games change again? Going back to this older style of rate the fun rather than rate the
script,
rate the cinema experience. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Food for thought.
Good conversation, boys. Yeah. Cool. So that's Dead Island. Very quickly, as I know we're getting on in time here, I'm still playing Midnight Suns. It has started to click a bit. You'll all be happy to know. Caden, you played Midnight Suns, didn't you?
Yeah.
What did you think of Midnight Suns?
I thought it was great. I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed the deck building turn-based combat. I thought the combat was brilliant. I wish there wasn't as dialogue intense. And that's not to say the dialogue's bad or anything. It's just a fucking lot of dialogue, and it's not like, oh, I'll just skip it. It's like, well, no, you need to talk to all these people to get better abilities and better stuff like that. Like, obviously, like, the more you talk to this person, you'll get better abilities. So I have to talk to this person because I love the gameplay. So yeah, and then every mission you have to go to the table, then you have to go to the training grounds, and you have to go talk to fucking Deadpool, and then you have to go talk to Thor, and then you have to go to the
Thor's in this game.
I don't think
getting the whole roster.
And then you have to go to the forge and build some shit, and then it's just like, oh, this person teleports you here, and you have to go. It's like, fuck me, and then you go run around the grounds, and it's very interesting, but it just took up too much of the core gameplay for me to like love it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I thought the gameplay was awesome. They're like awesome, brilliant. The card beat system, the pushing, the pulling, the whole like insta kill.
It's like environment focus.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it's just that's my takeaway. But that was quite a while ago.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, me and Tim had a bit of a back and forth about it last week, and I feel kind of the same. It's the core gameplay is really good. I don't know if it's Firaxis's best. Like, there are some parts of here where I really see it's great, and like the visual effects and the animations, like in the actual combat, is great, and it's really like gratifying to use those abilities. But like, I don't. There are times where I'm like, sometimes it feels a bit like having the ability, because it's not grid based and it's just kind of like free flow combat. Like it feels that part of it is kind of a bit directionless. I guess I'm setting myself up in a position so that I can maybe use an environmental attack next move, but like that's it. Like that's as far as it goes. Like the depth. Whereas when it's like in XCOM, like each individual grid had a percentage attached to it based on the angle, based on the cover. So I'm not sure about that, but it's still good and I still enjoy it. The environmental stuff they put in is a lot of fun, and the heroic system, once you get your head around it, like in the points that you build up and etc etc, and then there's such variety in the heroes as well that really feeds the loop of how it changes from mission to mission, but also turn to turn. So yeah, I think it's really good. I definitely agree with Ken. Yeah, it's definitely bogged down by, and maybe it's symptomatic of the same thing we were talking about earlier. Like they had a cool loop down, and they're like, yeah, it's a Marvel game now, so better fucking get a load of dialogue in there. It's canon as well, isn't it? The game, so it's like it's got to be like got to have loads of stuff. And like I imagine it was a bloody nightmare. Like it feels like it was at times, because it doesn't feel like this was something that Firaxis were equipped to do, like, in terms of like the amount of writing that they had to do for the game. So yeah. But I like it. The game is at its best when you're like just going from mission to mission, getting your upgrade. You talk to someone, you want to talk to them, or there's a progression in the story. But it's at its worst when it's like, right, you've just woken up, you're gonna go and plan a surprise party now. Oh, and now you're going into a portal into another cutscene. Oh, now you come back and actually we're gonna go have a book club. And it's like, I don't care. I don't care, mate. Like, get me out.
And everyone's texting you like, hey, can you come meet me in like this part
I
of the
didn't read
castle?
any
You're
of
like,
those. I was just like, I can't be fucked.
Yeah.
Unless it was like a character I cared about. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep going because I feel like I've got a bit of momentum now, and I get the flow of the game, and it feels quite good, and it feels good to like upgrade your decks and get those abilities. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I can see the appeal, and I'm gonna push that through to the end. Okay, whew, that was a big opening section, fellas. It hasn't been like a massive week in terms of news, particularly Xbox news. There's been some stuff I want to get round to, but let's start with the honorable mentions, being that there has been, if we can just raise a salute, please, for the our devs, Caden. This is literally what you do for work. If you could please raise a hand.
No, we're saluting wrong though. Caden needs to tell us how to salute properly.
No, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
Come on, man.
You're safe, man. You're safe here.
Not even through satire.
No, it's just like me asking you to do some coding or some shit. You're not doing it. Or whatever your job is.
I don't think it's anything like that at all. I think it's very
I'm not doing it.
Caden, check your DMs. I just sent you some code.
Not doing it.
That was so quick. Anyway, loads of layoffs at EA, loads of layoffs at PlayStation. It continues to churn. We thought last year was bad. It's just fucking dreadful. It's March, guys. It's the beginning of March. Like, this is a disaster. Again, what we said at the top of the show with games changing and everything. Like, we're definitely in the midst of that. But in terms of what I think the conversation is about here, particularly with EA doing all their layoffs, their commentary was like, yep, we're doing less licensed games now, and we're just going to rely on established franchises, which is a fucking ball ache, because I think a lot of companies are going to do that over the next 5-10 years. But with that, it means that the rumored, it's been confirmed from a leak source. We spoke about it last weekend. I don't know if you caught wind of it, but there was a Mandalorian FPS game in development at Respawn, and that was leaked last week. And it makes me think that it was a bit of a Hail Mary from maybe one of the devs, like, who leaked it on purpose. That are like, please get it out there and try and save the game.
Yeah.
And it's been cancelled. That's been cancelled now, which is just a fucking disaster, because my God, that is a perfect fit.
Respawn, yeah, people who made Titanfall making a Mandalorian game is just would have been insane. Would have been
Bounty
so fucking
hunting,
good.
like jetpacks, like wall running, probably. Man, that would be so good.
Yeah.
At the very least, if they are going to fall back and start to rely on some established franchises, maybe we get a Titanfall 3.
They'll just stay on Apex, right?
Maybe.
They're not
Maybe.
going to go back to Titanfall.
Yeah, they might just make an Apex single player. Yeah, who knows? But there has been a swell of like reputational hype around the brand, hasn't there? Like it's kind of there's been like a big post mortem since Titanfall 2 died, where like there's been quite a lot of excitement for more. So maybe they are reading into that. But they killed Titanfall 2. I don't know if you remember, they released it in the middle of COD and Battlefield on that year, just like the most idiotic thing they could have done.
Yeah.
And that killed the game. That actually killed the game.
Yeah, because it was top class game. Like everything about it.
Oh,
was
yeah.
literally like 9 out of 10. Like campaign, multiplayer. Like,
Campaign's good. Yeah.
Everything about it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a real shame. And then in addition to that, PlayStation had their layoffs as well. It was PlayStation's turn. All the big publishers seemed to be doing it. They shedded 8% of their staff, which was very similar to what we spoke about last month, with 1,900 going from Microsoft, which I think was 8 or 9%. So it's similar here. What's crazy to me though is that these layoffs included Naughty Dog and Insomniac. I mean, Naughty Dog maybe not so much, maybe understandable because they've had that cancelled Last of Us project.
Yeah.
But Insomniac, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, the fuck they got to do.
Imagine you're Insomniac. Yeah. Like, imagine you're Insomniac and you churn out like 4 like Game of the Year hits back to back since the release of PlayStation's new console, and then they're like, no, three, I think, yeah, and then you still lose your job. Like, what do you want? What more do you want?
The world, man. They want everything.
I guess. Crazy. Amidst that, they also closed their London studio, and this follows. They closed Pixel Opus last year, and they closed who I think made Dreams. Was that Dreams? I think it was the Dreams team. I really hope I'm not getting that wrong. And their Japan studio the year before that, and London studio was primarily a PSVR 2 dev. And I don't know if you guys have like been keeping up with the VR world, things like that, but PSVR 2 is struggling quite a lot because they're just not making games for it. Yeah. Have you got a VR headset, Caden?
I appreciate the fact that you think I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. It's arriving in 2 days. So currently, no, I don't.
I can't do VR. It makes me pretty sick. It's big sad.
Yeah, luckily I don't have that issue with VR, but it just still doesn't click with me. I've tried quite a few, and I've played like the MetaQuest, like the latest model of the MetaQuest. Well, back when it was the latest model, it was a couple of years ago now, and it was good. It was fine. I quite enjoyed it. I played like an army sim game, and it was kind of fun, but I don't know. I was just tripping over shit and running into shit, and the wires were really triggering me. They give me anxiety every time I move my elbows. I like caught a little wire, and I'm just like, I just want to sit down and hold a controller. I don't like this.
Yeah, I do wonder how, like, because phones are so popular, phones and PCs seem to be the growing markets. I do wonder how like Zoomers play on their phones. Like, do they use like accelerometers on it? Like, do they fucking swing it around to shoot, or do they just use the touchpad? Like, I really don't know.
They just use the touchpad, but I don't know. Mobile gaming is still like an anomaly to me. I don't. When people always say how big mobile gaming is, it shocks me every single time I hear it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, why? Why are 200 million people playing COD on mobile? Why?
It's bigger than the console version. Yeah,
I just don't get it. It's so weird.
Well, you play Marvel Snap, don't you? You're a big Marvel Snap.
I haven't played it in a while, but yeah, I did. I played Marvel Snap for a very long time. But again, that's the sort of only game that makes sense to me from a mobile perspective. It's like a card game or something like that. Or actually, this reminds me, Final Fantasy has a card game, Rebirth, and it's actually really good, and it cooks.
I've heard,
I'm like addicted. Like I'm literally like I get to the nearest town, and I'm like running to fight people and getting new
But like
cards.
Gwent, that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good, man. But yeah, no, that was a bit of a tangent. But yeah, those are the sort of games that fit for me. I think it's so weird that people play COD and PUBG on like a mobile. That shit's just odd.
You're gonna sit down for an hour or so and play an intense game like that. You may as well just do it properly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I get it if you want to. I mean, I don't actually, but if you wanted to train or something, sure, play what you want. But
Get a chicken dinner on the train.
yeah. No, I'm the same with you. Mobile, just kind of. I don't understand that market, but
Well, right now I have. What do I have? I've got Warcraft Rumble and I've got the Mighty Doom on my phone.
yes,
That's what I've got.
Big.
Don't play him very often, but the Mighty Doom's pretty good. I quite like that. He's like a chibi. It's like a chibi Doom.
Mm.
What I think, I actually don't know the demographics, and I like really quickly like looked it up, and the first thing that popped up is actually quite funny. So hang on, just fuck off. I feel like the Copilot is really intrusive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you type in, it pops up, and it's like, let me tell you all about it. And I'm like, leave me alone. Like I've got this. I got this. It's a basic web search. Like we good.
Yeah.
50% of gamers play mobile games while in the bathroom. 34.1% of players in the US are from high-income households. So this is for mobile gamers. That's really interesting to me because I was expecting here that like mobile gaming is growing for the same reason that the PC gaming is growing, in that they're multi-use devices. So people get a computer for like school. Like kids get PCs for school these days. And now they have basically a console, right? Same with phones. Like they get phones to text their friends and whatever other else things you do on phones, trade crypto or whatever else kids are doing these days. Yeah. And now they have PUBG for free or whatever. I imagine it's the same thing, but it does surprise me, some of these stats. And I also reckon like less like economically developed countries as well, probably for the same reason. Like why am I spending 500 quid on a console when I can play this game on my phone? I reckon is what, we're very spoiled in that regard. It's like we want to play it at high res, or high frame rate, so we can get another dedicated device to do that. Or if you're Caden, two or three or four more dedicated devices to do that. Yeah. All right. So yeah, the closing that. So I mean, what else is there to say here, really? It was PlayStation's turn. They're closing their games as well. We've been speaking about this for a while, that PlayStation's operating profit has been quite low. This was only a matter of time, really. And they said, in their blog post when this went live, like we have to reevaluate how we're doing games going forward. And I do wonder, like, what you think that looks like. Like, I want to put it to you guys. Like, what, like, PlayStation has carved out their path as like we're the third person action adventure cinematic like narrative single player game company, and I with like the layoffs and the profit, like to you, what's that company gonna do next? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I don't really know. Because the weird thing is I thought they were looking to make this transition earlier, and then they just started canning off all their like multiplayer and live service projects and stuff like that, and now they're U-turning it again, a little bit. But I don't really know, to be honest. I do feel like it's really hard to say, because for the longest time that is just how I see Sony. So I can't really think of a way that they can. And like even branching off a lot of their IPs, I don't see how they could make that multiplayer, how they could make that like not necessarily live service-y, like I don't know, whether or not you want to do a hero shooter, whether or not you want to do it as a MOBA, whether or not you want to do that. I don't really see how a lot of their IPs fit into those areas. So, and I don't think Sony are going to be doing it with. I don't think they're going to play it risky enough to make a load of new IPs. I think they'll try and leverage existing ones, and obviously the marketing behind those. I don't know, because yeah, they got to change something, because the way they're doing it right now, like you said, there's razor thin margins. They take so long to make these kind of games as well that they just can't really afford to just keep doing that, So I don't know. Long story short, I actually don't know.
Yeah, but because there has been this talk for a while now, hasn't there, about them pivoting into service games? But it's been, it's been really tumultuous so far. Obviously, Hellblade 2 is a hit. Probably beyond what they expected, which is great. But again, it's I don't know how the finances work for them. What's so funny about that?
You said Hellblade too.
I don't know. Shit.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 is a great hit.
I was thinking, I was like,
I'm such a bot. I'm such an ex-bot, aren't I? Yeah.
Hellblade 2 is a live service game under Sony now, is it? Wow, that's interesting. Real fucking change there from Ninja Theory.
That's funny. Helldivers, yeah. But again, like I don't know how the finances are working out for that because it's not really priced aggressively, like monetization as well. And also, it's still third party. Arrowhead make it, and they're not an internal studio. So again, I wonder how the finances are working. Factions has been cancelled, as reported here as well. Fire Sprite have cancelled their Twisted Metal service game. I know there was a fair bit of excitement around that, especially pairing with a TV show, which I think did surprisingly well from what I understand. I don't know if the Horizon game is still ticking along. The Horizon like Monster Hunter that's still going. That feels like quite a good fit for a service game. But I do wonder if they're reviewing it and they're like, hang on a minute, like other companies are seeing success with these lower price point AA games. Like, I wonder if we can go for that and still draw in the same audience. And I bet they can. Like, I've never fully gotten on board that PlayStation doing this full pivot into full like service games, even though they've said they're going to. Like, I never really thought they've got to have a better plan B than that because none of their studios are equipped to do that. Like, and we know how much of a disaster that is most of the time. Like, so I bet they just keep production values high, but they just start reducing the scope of their games. But still charge a premium for them. Like maybe not 70, but higher than the 40. So maybe in the 50 to 60 range, to cut down on development costs and still try and keep profit high. And then like they try and scrape extra profits off the top with like remakes, remasters, director's cuts, TV shows, films. And go from there, really. I mean, they're still pushing hardware as well, so they'll try and get profit on that too, even though it's a bit harder. And also, PC day and date. Maybe they're considering other platforms too. So we'll see what pans out. But it's just the direction of the industry these days. It's not all about the console anymore, really.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
Caden. Because you weren't here last week and you were like, recovering from the alcohol in your tummy, I specifically had a little note dedicated to you that I wanted to ask you about.
No.
Yeah. And that was because you weren't here when, the whole fucking Xbox thing happened, just while we're on the topic. And I just wanted to hear, like, if anything changed for you. Because we got the official 4 announcements of the games, didn't we? Going to other platforms. It was Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves. And I just wanted to know if you had anything to say about any of that, or if that didn't change anything for you, or if if you had any thoughts about that at all. Yeah, don't worry if not. But
I mean, nothing particularly like that's probably not already been said by you guys or someone else. Like, I think it's quite good that they're sending some games in some directions, like especially Hi-Fi Rush. Well, we've talked loads of times about it being literally like a perfect Switch game. So like things like that.
It's not going to Switch though.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, he's just going to PlayStation.
Oh, okay, shit, my bad.
Should go to Switch though, but yeah.
But it would still be good. It would still be good to get it into the Japanese market through PlayStation. If you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then there wasn't really much other news, was it? It was fairly kind of not exciting, wasn't it? From what I remember. It's quite a couple of weeks back now, but yeah, I was expecting a bit more of like a kind of a rundown, a bit more of a clearer message after all the confusion that we've discussed multiple times, and they didn't really seem to do that. Or I guess maybe they were like trying to get rid of the confusion, but I think in doing that, it's now a little bit more confusing. Do you know what I mean?
In some ways, yeah, I think, and we, like I said, we spoke about it. We like a lot of people were hoping for like a very clear-cut answer, and I was like, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like they're not going to be able to do that. And the problem with that is that I think they're going to leave the door open, and that's going to generate a lot of confusion. Like, for example, I said to Tim, this year's showcase is lined up to be like a fucking banger from Xbox. And I can't help but think, unless they make it explicitly clear which platforms they're on, every single trailer is just going to generate the same conversation. And that is so irritating because it takes away, well, not just from when we're sitting, but like as fans, but also for the devs. Like, you can't just enjoy the fucking game because everybody's just reporting on like where the game's going. So yeah, but it's nonetheless, like you said, it doesn't seem, me and Tim said this yesterday, it does feel like the writing's on the wall a little bit with what they want to do with their games. They clearly want to see what's going to happen, and they're probably going to pursue it further. Like in the future, they're probably going to keep putting games on other platforms, and we'll just have to see how that goes. It's up to Xbox to keep making money, and if they want to do that through their hardware, then they'll do that, and if they don't, then they won't. So we'll see how that all develops. Right. How are we doing for time? Coming up to an hour. Okay, that's fine. So we'll make this the sort of the final of the honorable mentions, but I made this story number 2, and I really couldn't help myself. It's the console warrior in me. It's like a little gremlin deep in my bones, and he's just there. And I say, no, don't say anything.
Don't do it, man.
But he's there, poking away at my rib cage. But I just couldn't help myself because this week, Gamer Rant released an article saying the following: PlayStation owners have lamented Sony's decision not to release any major first-party games until 2025, but this could actually be a good thing.
It's a good thing, man.
I don't care. Just be consistent, man. Like, what the fuck is that? That is not. No other console gets that sort of protection.
No. Yeah.
What's that?
We're not giving you games. Yeah, you've had like, what was that? At this point, with Spider-Man was their only one last year, right? So that means, it's going to be like 2-3 years or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be like 2 years.
No first-party games, and they're like, it's cool, man.
It's actually a good thing.
It's better than cool. It's good.
Yeah, we're glad.
I'm glad, actually.
I love the concept.
Well, you know what?
Route,
Fine. Till 26. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sony. This is a real good way for me to save money. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah. Fucking so weird.
I mean, am I crazy? I don't know. I feel a bit crazy sometimes.
No, I can.
This is weird.
If I ever woke up and saw that title for Xbox, I'd be a bit like, "Whoa."
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, you know you're not actually awake. You'd have to try and kill yourself or pinch yourself to wake yourself up. Yeah.
Is that what you do to wake up? Is it?
Yeah, you wouldn't try and pinch yourself. You try and kill yourself.
No, what was that? What was that? Oh no, that's for it. It's because of the Demon Slayer. Is why. It was one of the things,
right?
they like put you in like an alternate like dream world, and they had to kill themselves to wake up from it in the dream. Otherwise, you're trapped for good. So,
Caden, did you hear anything then?
You had to slice your own neck.
Something about just being a massive virgin, something like that.
Wow. I'm totally
untrue. It was. I'll tell you what. Me and Tim were talking the other day, right? And he was like, "Yeah, we went to an anime shop, and when I went to a sushi shop, and then I watched anime all day, and then I played Final Fantasy, and then he logs off and like, yeah, right, good night, mate." And then I check back on the Xbox app, and what's he doing? He's on Crunchyroll. He's on fucking Crunchyroll, and I'm like, how much anime can one man have? And he replied to me and said, "How will I know my limits if I don't push them?"
It's fine.
You're staying or something, is it?
Yeah, you gotta push the ceilings, man. Otherwise, yeah. Where do you?
Did you discover anything?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you find out about yourself?
Yeah. Episode 3, I started throwing up, and I realized that was my limit.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, okay. But now you know. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, it never really has been like we all know, like people with functional brains kind of know that first party games are like such a small slice of the industry every year. Like they always are so small, and they're always like propped up. At least they have been over like the last 5 or 6 years. You know, as well for the last gen, really, as like this thing that every console needs, and it's looked at with a magnifying glass. And like if you don't have at least 3 perfect of these, it's a fucking disaster for your console. There's nothing on it. Xbox has no games. That was the thing. So it's just a bit bizarre. I'm glad we're all in agreement there because I didn't think I was being a totally toxic console warrior by putting that here. I just, I couldn't not mention it on an Xbox podcast.
12 question marks, I think. Tell you a bit mental.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. That's 3 a.m. that story. That's what that is.
Yeah, I mean,
also thanks for
it's just
dragging us
confusing.
down with you as console warriors. So I appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I just thought we need to, we need to say, we need to look at it how it is. Be consistent. Game rent. I'll go back and check if they said the same thing about Xbox's 2022, which had multiple articles written in the opposite. But that's fine. That's cool. We know where the preferences are. That's no biggie. All right, guys. So, real weird thing happened this week. Toys for Bob. Yeah, the guys who are making all the new Spyros, the new Crash games. They made that Crash Rumble one recently, which was like a horribly, like it did not perform well. You know the one I'm talking about, like the Smash clone. Yeah, I just what was that? Yeah. They've gone independent, so they're no longer part of ABK. Microsoft acquires ABK, all of those studios, Toys for Bob being one of them, and now they've gone independent. And they've said, they said as part of that, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. Very weird, man. Very weird.
That is weird. Okay. I was literally just reading. Okay, so Xbox are okay. So my next question immediately was what happens with the IPs. But what that's still
they're still owned by Activision still.
Okay.
So
yeah.
But at this point, it's like Xbox has such a graveyard of IPs that they just refuse to touch. That it's like, great. Like who's going to work on, like who's going to make the next Crash and Spyro unless they license it out to Toys for Bob again, which I suppose they could do, but we don't really know we can speculate, but we don't really know the context of why this happened.
I mean, how big are Toys for Bob? Are they a relatively large studio? Maybe they just don't like being under a big corporate umbrella, or whatever. Because some developers just don't really like that. And they could leave with, no particularly bad blood in mind. That's just not really their vibe. So
180 as of 2021. 180,
bigger
devs.
than I thought.
Not tiny, yeah. I think they did have some cuts in the ABK layoffs. I think there were some cuts, maybe like 50, 60. But the thought process here, from what I can see online, because the thing is, I think people had a lot of big hopes for Toys for Bob because, Xbox has spoken about, well, Phil Spencer in particular has spoken about like PG games, like they want more PG games so they can capture that side of the market that Nintendo has like really on lockdown. Whether it's Banjo or Crash or Spyro, whatever it is, they might be able to help with that, these devs who make those sorts of games. So to let them go seems a bit bizarre. But from what I can tell, the speculation here is that they were on the chopping block. Like, this studio faced being closed, just like how we spoke about with PlayStation's London studio moments ago. And instead of closing them down, they're like, look, fine, we're not going to do that. If you guys want to go independent and try and like keep this going, do that, and we'll try and maybe publish a game for you. Like if you want us to support you doing that, and in which case, if that is the story, then that's a pretty good outcome. But we don't really know.
Yeah.
But I will say it would seem weird for them to spin off out of the acquisition at this time when it's known to be a really hard time for smaller studios. Like it would be weird for them to do that from their own free will.
It seems like they were probably backed into a corner, and then they were obviously given an out, which is probably a better alternative, or whether or not they presented the fact they wanted to go indie, and yeah, like you said, Xbox was just like, yeah, that's cool, yeah, no worries. But yeah, it definitely seems like potentially they were a bit backed into a corner with the decision. Probably didn't want to. Probably wasn't the first thing on their mind, I'm sure. But it's a shame. Yeah, because like you said, we are like lacking in that area. Well, apart from Hi-Fi Rush as of late, but yeah, like we could definitely use more
and Grounded,
sort of
maybe.
games like that. Yeah, potentially Grounded. Yeah. So and yeah, I was a big fan of Spyro back in the day. I used to love those games when I was a kid. Yeah.
I mean, I thought the remakes were brilliant, all of them. The entire.
I haven't played.
Even you played them all, have you?
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I haven't played them.
They're brilliant.
I'll add it to the list.
And
That's
Crash
pretty
4.
good.
I'm pretty cool.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, what's that about? You are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was about to ask what animal Crash is, and then I realised I said it out loud in my brain.
He's a bandicoot. Crash Hedgehog.
Spyro the Bandicoot and Crash the Dragon.
Crash the Purple Dragon.
I don't think I've ever seen it. Is a bandicoot an Australian creature? It sounds like an Australian creature, doesn't it? A bandicoot.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some kind of like a doggy kind of thing, like a dingo, like a bloody dingo.
I don't understand because this isn't what Crash looks like at all. He does not look like
Crash
this.
isn't
He
real.
doesn't look like this in the slightest.
What? You expected that fucking animal to be
Where is
wearing
it?
jeans, did you?
Where is
Know? They don't wear jeans in the wild.
Eating his womba
I don't know,
fruit.
Tim. When I look at Spyro, I don't mistake him for a hedgehog. That is a fucking dragon.
Yeah, but...
Spyro the dragon. Banjo? That's a fucking bear, mate. Like, there's no mistaking. Crash? Stupid fucking marsupial? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Collecting peaches and
Sonic,
shit.
Though. Sonic don't.
It's not peaches, they're womba fruit.
Oh, womba fruits, yeah, whatever. It's a peach in it. Yo, I'm going down.
Dropped. It's a peach in it. It's like the most insulting thing you've ever said to him.
It's a peach. Dude, I'm going down in a real rabbit hole here. A real bandicoot hole. This is amazing. I'm learning so much.
Come on, give us a fact. Come on.
Give us a bandicoot fact.
All right. Like most marsupials, male bandicoots have bifurcated penises. I don't know what that means.
Nice.
Oh my God.
I think maybe you just figured it out.
Why are you typing so vigorously?
Oh, he's looking. He's watching.
It's just like a two-headed, isn't it? Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a kidneys. They have it as well. It's not retching. Mute your mic, dude. No one wants to listen to podcasts with people retching.
Oh my God. I should not have clicked on that, mate. It's horrible. Oh man.
Deck, do you want to come back into the room here, mate? You're just
sorry, I'm closing it all. I'm closing it all. All right, hang on.
So anyway, looking at that now,
Bandicoot.
Do you want them to be more realistic with how they do the Bandicoot?
I definitely want him to still wear jeans. I'll say that.
Now I look at his face in that picture you put in the notes. Like, he knows what kind of penis he's got.
That's the same one on the thumbnail, isn't it? Yeah. Oh no, it's not. It's a different one.
He knows.
Yeah, no, he's looking down, isn't that?
Fucking jeans.
And Spyro knows as well. Look at him. He's got like one eyebrow up. He's like, hang on a minute.
Oh, yeah,
hang on a minute. This isn't children friendly.
God.
I'm with you, Tim. Like, Crash, like, perplexes me a bit. Like, why? Like, it's like you just spun a wheel and threw a dart at it, and you're like, a bandicoot. You know, it's just full of animals. A bandicoot. We'll make a game out of bandicoot. Like, why a bandicoot?
Yeah, why can they do like a kangaroo? Yeah, something more.
Yeah.
Iconic.
I wonder if it's the same time around Taz. Tasmanian.
Taz!
Yeah, I reckon because
Tasmanian.
there's
Oh,
a similar
God.
looking kind of thing going on, isn't it? Ish.
It really
Yeah,
is.
but then Tasmania, Taz doesn't look like a Tasmanian devil either. To be fair,
Well,
It's just-
Does he not?
yeah, we need to.
Oh yeah, he
start
doesn't. He definitely
remaking
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. They're really cute,
But
actually.
maybe
They're
he was
really cute.
taken. That's what I'm saying. Maybe.
Taken. Like kidnapped.
Just
Tim,
see
all right?
Tim just
Where's
like,
he going?
what's he talking about? You see him?
He's taking his cat out. Yeah, he is.
I saw that,
Have you
Tim.
done all right, buddy?
Like, what did he just say?
Oh, yeah, Dex like, oh, he's taken. Like, he's kidnapped. What's going on? Oh, that made me laugh.
It's been taken. Man. Oh God. I'm getting into giggly territory and it's not a good place to be. Yeah, because they made Cow the kangaroo, haven't they? Have you played Cow the kangaroo? Cow
No.
Cow? KO, because he's got boxing gloves.
Oh,
Cow.
shit. I played
Cow.
there's like a cat
I played the
that has like swords and shit. I can't remember what that's called. Is it
one.
How?
Sly the raccoon.
A cat with swords. Sly the raccoon. Are you talking about Blinks the time sweeper?
No.
It's a time sweeper.
My not. I don't know. How do you sweep time?
Conker the squirrel.
Yeah.
No.
We're just
not-
listing
that's a
animal.
squirrel.
Yeah. That's nah, close, but that's not cat. That's
I feel like
squirrel.
You looking for a cat?
Don't know. Sorry, I'm
Okay,
lost now. Sorry.
Let's put some boots in it.
You got me looking now, and
Video game cats. Is that what we're
No.
talking about right now?
Put some
no.
boots. Shrek 2. That's like my favourite game.
No,
when I was a
Stop
kid.
it. That's such a good film. As the Last Wish, that is such a good film. Holy shit. That is really good.
Mhm. Put some boots. Popped off.
All right, I feel like we need to change the subject now because I'm currently looking at cats on Google, trying to remember what it's called.
I just keep getting the same fucking
you're
cat
looking at-
from Stray. I keep getting
Ah.
that cat. So I clearly don't want
Game of
that
the Year
piece of shit, do I?
contender.
It
Game
might
of
be
the
a
Year
tiger.
contender. That's the one. A tiger with swords.
Oh, that's Thai. Fuck.
Thai.
No,
Is he
yeah.
okay?
No, I'm not. Look, come on. Next subject. I'm going to get lost
Okay.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's a good one. No, I like that.
Hmm.
Should do that more often. We should have a little jingle before we go into video game animals. It'd be like we do like a little quiz. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Mm,
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Pretty sure that's a copyright.
yeah. There are a lot though. There are a lot of people that just fucking just pick an animal and make a game out of it.
I can't blame them. It's effective. Although I feel like we're past it now, which is a bit annoying because like Fortnite is the thing, and it's just like here's just a cartoon person in a
Mm,
banana suit, and it's like it's not as interesting as it. I don't know.
no.
Maybe I'm old.
trying to think of a good animal. That makes a good
Dude,
game.
fucking Nintendogs just popped up while I was closing this tab.
Whoa.
Do you remember Nintendogs?
I do remember.
They're all
the
dead
film.
now, though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's true.
Bit
God
dark.
rest their souls.
But
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't fed my dog for fucking years. 10 years. I think it's long gone.
All right, I'm trying to think what. Sure, yeah, sure. Let's do our next topic then. So Digital Foundry, you guys know Digital Foundry, the YouTube channel that does all the frame rate comparisons and pixel comparisons and all of that tech
Mhm.
breakdowns. They did a Xcloud to compared to the PlayStation streaming thing, which they only released. Like the PlayStation only released their version of streaming, like cloud streaming, a couple of months back. It's quite a new thing for them. To see like how they stack up, and Xcloud has had like a bit of a mixed reception generally. Generally, people say it's quite good for cloud tech, but it's like quite far behind some of the other others in the industry, with GeForce now being considered like the gold standard. Have you guys either of you tried that?
Not tried it, but fully aware of
Yeah,
what it is.
I've
and
heard
fits
it's
into
very
I've
it,
heard
so-
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard it's really amazing. In fact, I think it was Joaquin, who's not with us right now, but he messaged me and he was saying that he's just playing most of his. He doesn't have like such a capable gaming PC, but he's just playing all his games with that on his PC,
Yeah, that's
and
insane.
it works well. Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it? You know.
Mm.
So anyway, that's head and shoulders above the rest. But it was a surprisingly even battle, which is kind of weird considering. Well, firstly, like Xbox should be holding the top spot here because they're literally the cloud company. Like they should be doing better here. So I don't know what's holding them back. But they basically found that the latency was a fair bit better on the Xbox side, with 99 milliseconds compared to PlayStation's 137. But across the board, generally, PlayStation's had a better image quality on their cloud, and seemingly Xbox is still using Series S hardware for their cloud as well, in terms of their server blades, which is really weird because we knew that back in like 2020 and 2021, when Xbox was having their console shortage, part of that reason was that they were diverting the chips and everything to server blades, like rather than to be on shelves. So you would have thought, hang on, you would have thought the Series X is going to be what they're using here to get everybody the highest image quality, but it seems that that's still not always happening. But I assume they've controlled for like location and geography because it depends where you are and the location you're closest to, data centers and all that. I assume they've controlled for that because they're very good at what they do. But just a bit of a funny thing, PlayStation have done quite well here with the service that they've put out. Did you guys use Xcloud at all?
Yeah, I've used it quite a little bit. Like not like probably as in because I know you use it quite a lot, don't you? Or do you?
Here and there. I'm using
Yeah.
more remote play these days, but like I do, it depends on the game I'm playing. It's very game dependent. Yeah.
Because I have, when I've been abroad with work and stuff, I have tried to do it. But it's always a case of just not having good enough internet where I am. That's all it is. Like, I'm sure the service is great, but I don't have like the setup for it, really, unfortunately. But I would be interested in doing it, like, given the right situation, I would definitely give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm very much the same. I mean, my infrastructure and my internet's fine, but I just don't really find I'm in a situation where I kind of need to that often. I've done it here and there. I think I did it a little bit when I was playing Persona Tactica. I played that a few times on the cloud, and I actually played that when I was in Edinburgh as well, because the hotel actually had decent Wi-Fi. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, no, I don't use it too much, but I think these things come with a bit of there is a bit of give and take there between image quality and like delay, like latency though. I think maybe there's just an option where Xbox had to sacrifice one to improve the other, because a 40-second millisecond difference between PlayStation and Xbox, that's a lot. Like that's a real lot when it comes to latency. So I don't know. Maybe they were just like, yeah, we just sacrifice image quality to have better. People are playing it on their fucking phones anyway. They're not going to be wanting to cram in and like have the most incredible graphical experience anyway, right? So let's just improve on these regards, like stability. Because 137 millisecond latency is quite high for PlayStation. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of that.
Maybe, like I said, for me, how it works is very game dependent. Like when I'm using it, like Midnight Suns was perfect. Yeah, like there are times where I've literally got home from work, crawled into bed, and I just play from bed with my nice heated blanket.
That's cute.
That's lovely. Oh, thank you. Yeah,
oh, cute. And
it's nice in the winter.
What time did you get back from work?
Yeah.
Just crawl into bed.
Well,
fucking.
I thought you walk from home. Work from home.
No, not yet. I get one work from home day at the moment. But I mean, by finish work, I mean once I get home from work, put the baby to bed, cook dinner, eat. That's kind of what I mean, I suppose.
Oh, okay. I see.
So once that's done, then I crawl into bed and get all snuggly
and cry,
play and cry. But after that, play some Xcloud or Midnight Suns. But of course, I don't. Like I said, I'm usually using more remote play at the moment because they haven't cracked open the fucking Xcloud for all your games yet. It's just for Game Pass. like when I was up at my in-laws like last month, I think it was, I played some Brotato on 4G over Xcloud, and that worked just fine. That was fun just to get a couple of. I think I only played it for an hour, but yeah, I mean, all of these services stand to improve, but it's like a lot of people are saying. I think a lot of industries are like betting on a lot of companies, I should say, are betting on streaming becoming the future. And I just wonder, like, do you guys feel like we're on that trajectory? Like, do you guys feel like we're on the path to like maybe 5 or 10 years down the line where hardware becomes so obsolete because I can play whatever I want on whatever platform I want? You know, kind of like how Stadia did. You know,
Yeah, I
do you
think so. Like, especially with like smart TVs and things like that. Like, it is already a thing that you can just play Xbox games on the Samsung TVs, can't you? You can just stream games on it. I definitely do see that being a thing. Like, especially as our technology in general gets more interconnected, like internet and everything like that. I definitely see that being the end. You know where we're going. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I mean the tech's kind of there, and I mean, obviously as things progress, and these high-end PC components obviously get better and better, which means that the ones that are actually still very good become outdated. Those can be, cheaply outsourced and put into data centers and stuff like that. Which then people all they need to do is just connect on. That's essentially what the GeForce Now is. You're essentially just remoting onto a gaming PC somewhere over in a data center, and then you're just playing the game from that. You're just connecting essentially onto a high-end PC. So yeah, it's definitely getting down that route, and yeah, I don't think people are opposed. I mean, with all subscription based media from TV to gaming now, I don't think people are opposed to having that monthly fee, which is how GeForce Now does it as well. And they'll just be like, yeah, I'll just pay a monthly fee. I'll just remote on. I don't have to do any lump sum. I think a lot of people these days they're much more they prefer just having a monthly cost rather than a lump sum cost. I think a lot of people these days, and I think that is the direction everything's heading in. Is just subscription based cloud high end PCs. Yeah.
Interesting. And that's even before you get into conversations around consoles or hardware. Maybe I should say more broadly, using like having baked in cloud equipment. Like the original vision for the Xbox One was, if you remember, that was like the whole thing. Like, we're going to have cloud and streaming baked into the console, and they ended up pulling away from that. Cloud. So having that baked in with AI, I do wonder how that could shape things. The only unfortunate thing now is that it's getting to the point where streaming services are getting a bit fragmented. With and by the way, Google throwing in the towel that early was fucking nuts, wasn't it? That is crazy.
So early, yeah. Considering how big
I
of a company they are as well.
I always remember Baldur's Gate 3 was an exclusive for Stadia.
Was it really?
No,
I don't know
Oh
if you
my
knew that.
god, man!
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because as a kid, I was obsessed with Baldur's Gate, like Dark Alliance, not necessarily the CRPG ones. And when I heard it was coming to that, I was like, oh, talk to my brother. Like, oh, we need to get a Stadia. We need to get a Stadia to play this new Baldur's Gate game. And obviously, that's not happened now. But yeah, it was absolutely an exclusive for Stadia. I'm assuming it's probably timed, but it was definitely under Stadia and nothing else.
That's so
My
strange.
god.
How things
What they
changed.
could have had. Yeah.
And I feel like they had a bit of a mentality there that it was its own platform that needed to survive on its own legs, like an Xbox or a Nintendo or a PlayStation did. But as a streaming service, if they just started putting Stadia in other places, because they had like was it New World? Was I remembering that right? That they had like an MMO which kind of popped off from it there, didn't they?
I can't remember.
It was one of them. I feel like New World sounds right, but like if they had just like gone one step further and seen the direction and been like, yeah, look, Xcloud, you can play on PC, Xbox, mobile, and also GeForce Now, you can play really as many places. If we just take that route, like we could really do some work here. Having said that, that would rely obviously the console manufacturers to let their service on their console, but still, like it does feel like they threw in the towel so early, particularly like with how executives are talking about cloud gaming now. Like it feels like, yeah, surefire, this is where we're going to be in 10 years time. Like cloud's going to be big, and everyone's going to be playing games from wherever we're going to the players. That's always been the Xbox like kind of thing, hasn't it, for like the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they did throw in a towel very early, didn't they? Like they could have sucked it up and taken some losses for a little bit longer. Like, I mean, most companies, when you do something like that, you're going to take a loss for your first few years, probably even longer. I mean, Xbox and PlayStation take losses even now. So yeah, they did throw it in a little bit early. I don't think they ever fully committed to it. I think they thought they had an idea and they thought it was going to come out guns blazing, and when it didn't, they're half foot in anyway. They just removed it immediately. Yeah, it's a bit of a shit attempt, to be honest. But
just to correct myself, New World was Amazon. I can't figure out what I'm talking about, but I swear there was an MMO on Stadia, but you know, it is what it is.
And just to clear up that Baldur's Gate 3 thing as well, it was exclusive content. It wasn't an exclusive game. It was exclusive content.
Still though.
Yeah.
Not nothing. So yeah, man. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I do got to wonder how this is all going to shake out, because like for me, like and for most people, and like, you know, Phil Spencer has said this himself about cloud. Like cloud isn't there to replace, at least right now, isn't there to replace native, like your box. And I don't think any cloud streaming service would really argue that. Like maybe some people do feel like GeForce Now is good enough where actually I don't need to upgrade my PC for now, because this is good enough. It feels like I'm playing a game native. Like if that is the case, then that's pretty fucking amazing. And I've heard really, really good things about that service. So maybe we are approaching that, but clearly the tech is getting there. You know, Xcloud has some work to do to catch up, it seems, but which is why they're just treating it as supplementary now. But there might come a time where they like relaunch it and rebrand it. Like I gotta wonder how they do that. And it's good enough, you know, that you can play games natively on your phone, on your PC, on your Xbox, or wherever else it is, you know. And that will really change how we view things. So, you know, another old wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. We're an hour and 37 minutes in, and that kind of wraps up everything else for this week. Is there anything else you guys have got a burning to speak about? Anything you're just dying to talk about?
That's been a fairly quiet week for news and stuff, hasn't it? Really, other than obviously what we've talked about.
Yeah, no, it has been.
Yeah, relatively quiet. Yeah, no, I just want to go back and play more Final Fantasy. So let me go.
All right. Yeah, fair enough then. Can't stop that, man. Can't stop that, man. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us today for episode 132 of the Quick Resume podcast. If you've listened all the way to the end, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You leave a comment, let us know really anything. You know, you can tell us how much you love us, how much you hate us.
Just give me anything.
It's just anything, really. You know, in fact, you could just like smack your keyboard and then press enter. Like, just see what happens. Like, just do that. Just see what happens. You know, and maybe the algorithm will pick it up. Who knows? But we'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Have a good rest of your Sunday, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.